and welcome to another SEO Hangout with Josh Bachynski. I am reporting to you live from Las Vegas, the Rio, Las Vegas. You can see the Rio right there. I didn't just Photoshop that in. That's why I look so bad. It's because I'm in Vegas. So we're doing this lo-fi today, and I wanted to give you a report from. I'm at the NMX conference. Actually, it just ended. But I'm at the New Media Expo conference, and I did come up with some interesting things for people who want to do SEO and social, even though it's more or less a conference about new media, blogging, video blogging, podcasting, stuff like that. Apparently, they still think that exists. Who knew? And they were talking about it. So I've got some stuff, not a lot, and of course, I'm kind of still drunk and half hungover, so I don't know how long I'll be able to ramble on about this stuff, but it hasn't stopped me in the past, has it? Okay, so just a couple shopkeeping things. I still have the Penguin fix. It's still available. I'm still willing to help people out who need it, but of course, as I mentioned before, only under certain conditions. The fix, if you didn't see my last two videos, it does fix Penguin within a relatively short time, a few days, if you have a site that is applicable. And so there's some questions I have to ask you. Clearly, I have to keep this on the very down low. Otherwise, we'll be in a lot of trouble. So if you need that or are interested in that, please contact me. I'll be back in my office a couple weeks after this video is posted. Maybe a week and a half after this video is posted. But I'm so dedicated to you, my people who listen to me rant on a regular basis, that I am actually working on my vacation. Darn it. So, I don't know. I just like to hear the sound of my own voice, of course, which is the reason why anyone who does something like this does it. As I recently learned at New Media X. So here's some interesting stuff other than that I learned. I came across some very interesting things. Now, for example, I was watching a presentation. And so mostly this conference was more about, in terms of getting traffic to your site, which I'm assuming which is what people who watch this video are the most interested in. How do I get traffic to my site? Of course, there's Google, there's the SEO way of getting traffic to your site, which this conference lacked. There was no one there to talk about it. I suggested, hey, I'll talk about it. I went to talk to the president. Hey, your SEO sucks. I'll talk about it. For some reason, he didn't find that a convincing sales pitch. Who knows why? I'm sure it was my regular charming self. But it was mostly about social and how you use social to get traffic to your site. Now, unfortunately, I was hoping that they would have it sounded like the write-ups on these people sound like these are social masters. Like they invented Facebook and they invented Twitter and they made millions of dollars off social and they could show you how to do the same. So I was like, great. I don't know how to make millions of dollars off of getting social traffic. Not for the standard business. If you're selling doll clothes or something like that, yeah, you can make millions of dollars on Pinterest. Well, not millions, but millions over time. Or something like that. But other than those kind of happy congruences where you have a particular audience that is known on a platform that is sufficiently easy to use and you can put your products there, like on Pinterest, this doll clothes Pinterest example I'm mentioning, which I didn't make up. That's an actual example. A guy wrote a book about it. Other than that, for someone who's an affiliate selling herbal pills or someone who's some lawyer site, how do I make money off of, how do I get traffic off of social? Josh, how do I do this? So that's why one of the reasons why I came here was to try and find out. Maybe they knew something because it was in Vegas. Mea culpa. So that's what I was trying to figure out. So actually there was a couple presentations that were interesting on it, even though I felt most of it was somewhat remedial. And if I come back next year, I'll just pitch them to present, and then it won't be remedial. It'll be awesome. Or as awesome as I am, however awesome that is. So the idea was this, is that Triber is kind of a white hat SEO company. I don't know if you know about them. Dan Christo and Dino Dorgan, I think his name is. They're partners in it. And Dino was the guy who was presenting here. Although Dan Christo was more the guy I've touched base with on Twitter. And they have an interesting platform that you could also use for link building. This is essentially what they're using it for. They claim it's for social outreach and branding, but really it's for getting links. In my humble opinion. And they have like a platform where for bloggers can go on there. They can see that there's a campaign. They can apply to be in the campaign. The campaign will pay them $300. What they have to do is they have to write an article, put it on their blog. Their blog has to be sufficiently non-spammy, and they will get paid $300 or whatever price that the person setting the campaign sets. So I thought that was a very interesting idea to mechanize the buying and selling of links, which is an extremely white hat thing to do. Well, depending on how you read Google's laws, right? It's white hat or not, depending on how Matt Cutts feels that day, whether he had his bagel or not. But it was an interesting notion that and he called it about getting influencers. Now, in terms of nomenclature, as far as I understand in the social sphere, an influencer technically is someone who already has a culture. They've built up their own tribe, so to speak. They're an influencer in a society, a sub-society, which is different than hiring a brand advocate or a brand champion, someone who may or may not be an influencer, but more true to that essential definition is someone who goes out there and tries to build a tribe for you, right? So either you can find someone who already has a tribe who will talk about your stuff, or you can hire somebody to try and make one. What we do, and what Melissa, my social consultant, my social expert, and I do, and I'm hoping to get her on some of these hangouts, some of these rants, because you're probably tired of hearing me rant, and she has some good rants too on social and how to get traffic from social and how to do this stuff. What we try and do is is kind of do both. Is try and find the culture that will be applicable to you. So if it's a lawyer, if it's a plumber, if it's a skin cream, it's a whomever or whatever, it's pretty easy to figure out, okay, who is the target demographic, what societies, what cultures are they in, and I use the word societies and cultures loosely, what tribes are they in, what niches are they in, what are they interested in, and go there, get in there, and start talking with them, and be friendly, and be social, right, and start yammering on with them. And this works much better than just our basic social SEO package, which still works pretty good, don't get me wrong, of just posting funny memes that will be a very broad humor, broad used in all senses of the word, that most people will find funny, some lolcats this, and some, depending if you can be dirty or not, or some nice family-friendly jokes that. Now that gets social signals, that gets you the occasional plus one, the occasional like, the occasional person following you. And it gets just enough of a noise there, so when Google looks and sees if your page has any social mentions or if there's any social action going on there, the panda monster, that's one check mark in the quality column, right? They've verified that somebody on social is talking about this site. Either the profile has a link pointing to it, and or it's mentioned a bunch of times, in other people's profiles, personal profiles and whatnot. But it's so much better that if you can, and this is our extended, our new services we'll be offering this year from now on, in case you cared, or if you don't, just listen, you could do it yourself. It's so much better to find a culture that already exists that you can kind of parasitically jump into, like, this is us, So we have a skin cream client, which is essentially a cosmetic client, but Melissa, who's really good, kind of jumped into the sorry, the name escapes me, because it's obviously not one of my cultures, not one of my niches that I care about. But positive outlook for your physical appearance. I can't remember. They have a specific name for it. I can't remember off the top of my head. But anyway, she jumped in on that crowd, even though you wouldn't think that a cosmetic skin cream would really be part of the positive, clean eating, healthy living, feel good about yourself no matter how you look tribe, right? But she jumped in there, and someone called her on it in that group, and she basically responded, yeah, well, I think there's a good balance between being able to look good, but also feel good about yourself. There's a balance there. They have to be they can't be in tension, right? They have to be in confluence. And she got like 30 plus ones and 30 likes, and people love that answer. So, I guess the moral of the story is you have to hire someone to do your social who's charismatic, right? Who can navigate those waters, and who's a social butterfly, who can get in there and talk with all these things. And so, if you don't have that on your team, by all means, contact ours. Before I forget, you can contact me at joshbachynski at gmail.com. My Twitter is at joshbachynski, and you can follow videos like this, although much more high def and not so hungover, at youtube.com/jbachins, JBACHYNS. So that's an interesting idea. So that might be a tip that you can use. and one of the only actionable tips that really came out of the conference is that don't think of it like you have to build your own culture. Don't think of it like you're selling, right? Nobody cares that you have tickets, or nobody cares that you have a 20% off sale. Like, no one's going to click on that. What you want to do, it's like as if you showed up to the party and just started saying, "Hey, I got ticket," you just started trying to sell to them. No one likes the hard sell. But forgive me, I'll turn off my cell phone here. But if you can find a culture and you can either pretend like you believe in their values, or at the very least actually try and understand their values and try and see if you can understand some of their values and be part of that niche, part of that tribe, and then you will get the kind of social response that you want. Then instead of just getting a 1+1 or 1 like on a funny meme, then if you post something that's funny but also kind of relevant to them and they also know who you are, then you're going to get like 30+1s, 30 likes, right? And then you get to the point, so that's like step 1. Now, step 2 that Dino was talking about, or what I took from what Dino was talking about, he really wasn't talking about this. I kind of took it from what he was talking about, so I'll give him the credit. It sounds good. Was it now you put in the influencer idea, right? It would also be good if you can choose this niche, this culture that has influencers that like to talk back and forth and who are going to promote your stuff. And so you have the opportunity for a big influencer to converse with you and a big influencer to pick up your stuff. So you can do that with this culture idea, that find your niche, find your tribe, so people who are interested in law, maybe if you're a lawyer, or particular law ideas like injury law, or people or freedom of expression law, whatever the laws that you do or you want to be part of, or if the law that you know about, or the law that the person doing the social for you can just kind of jump into, right? It can't be too specific unless you're doing it yourself, if you have the time to. If you do, great, because subject matter experts, SMEs, are always good to speak intelligibly about a subject. Who else to speak intelligibly about a subject but a subject matter expert? But if you're farming that out, then obviously it's got to be a culture that person can also access and speak kind of intelligently for. Or you have to have a very good communication with the person you farm it out to. And so if you can find a culture that has influencers in it, then you can really amplify your signal, and then you might be able to start generating some serious traffic from social if the influencer picks it up. If you make a comment and someone who has 1 million Twitter followers starts agreeing with you and retweeting you, or following that, or on Google Plus or whatever, especially on Google Plus, people have a couple thousand people have encircled them, and you can start communicating with these people and talking. You're going to get boosted up in the Search Plus Your World, the SPEW, as we affectionately have dubbed it, ranking algorithm. More and more people are going to be logged into Google as we go into 2014 and 2015. So that ranking, that blended ranking, instead of the global ranking for non-logged in users, is still going to get boosted, and they might even start using Google Plus signals for the global ranking anyway, as we've already been speculating, and they've kind of hinted they might do, they might not, they're not sure yet, because they want to see how well it goes and how much more link spam they can find / we do, and how much more negative SEO we do on links, so they have to kind of ditch links and use other signals. The other idea there is find a culture that has influencers in it, or heck, just make a culture of influencers. The influencers are a culture unto themselves. Find all the influencers online, the top 200 celebrities, or whomever, who actually tweet back to people, most likely, and make them a culture. And then make that a culture that you would always have, on whatever social platforms you want to perform on. And Twitter is a good one, because we know that Google already has algorithms to read Twitter. They've had for years. Just make a culture of those influencers, either on Google Plus or on Twitter. Facebook might help you, might not. The jury is out whether or not they can actually read it. Some evidence suggests they can, and then some evidence suggests they can't. So it's really hard to know. But all that data there is going to be so important for them. But Google Plus might be getting to the point where it's so big that they don't really care. But it's skewed to the tech demographic, so it's really hard to say. There's other ones like LinkedIn. They read Pinterest. They read LinkedIn and Pinterest up until very recently. Last time I checked, give you do follow links if you fill it out properly. I also found out a lot about Pinterest and how that works. So if you have questions about how you would get do follow links from LinkedIn or Pinterest, by all means email me. I'll just send you to Melissa and she can explain it. I guess. So you can also do that as well. Or you can just try and focus on that, depending on if you don't really have a culture, you can't really find one, or there's not really a good one. Well, heck, then just make a culture of influencers and try and get the biggest bang for your buck. Try and say funniest stuff to whomever. Penn Jillette tweet something back. It doesn't hurt if you're a good-looking woman, whether you are or not, on your social accounts, because people like to be social with good-looking people. So it depends. You be a good-looking member of what you presume would be the sexually attractive gender for them. That can definitely help out. Okay, so that was probably the best idea I found in the whole conference. The other thing I want to mention is a company called Taggled, Taggled.com. Check it out. Basically, the word on the street is that they will probably, or they might be bought out by YouTube soon. So this is a company you might want to watch. Essentially, they're Disquis for video comments. So you have the ability to, in their system, tag, either implement on your own web page, or they have their own portal as well, just like Disquis does for comments. You can tag certain parts of a video and put links to whatever you want, to other parts of another video or to other pages or whatever you want. And then you can also put a link on your site or on their system, which is kind of like its own social network. It's like Disquis is kind of its own social network. You can put links and stuff on your profile there that goes to specific parts of video. And it's highly robust and free. So I met the owner of the company. They're from Ireland. They're a good group of people. And so that'd be a kind of a tool to watch and a company to watch, because the word on the street is they could very well get bought out by YouTube pretty soon. They're at least, I don't know if I'm supposed to mention this. Well, I'm going to mention it anyway. It sounded to me like they were in talks for that. And it's an interesting idea. There were some other programs, some affiliate programs that let you share stuff, but they seemed a little too fresh for me to report on, but I am keeping my eye on them. So just so you know, if you really want to know, I can forward you the business information I acquired, for the affiliate stuff. But it was all ways to kind of, they're trying to add, everyone is jumping over each other, trying to add extra obfuscation levels between the customer and Google so that they can inject their links here, or they can get an extra layer there. There was an interesting company from Amsterdam that was kind of making kind of a LinkedIn competitor, but you could also, it automatically would set up. Imagine if LinkedIn had the ability to kind of automatically set up affiliate feeds, affiliate links, and you could just monetize it just by clicking a button. People could insert it on different websites. If they click it, you get like an AdSense competitor almost. Imagine if LinkedIn had an AdSense competitor that was kind of affiliate based, and you could split the revenue with them. That's what this company was trying to do. But the problem is it's a LinkedIn competitor. They didn't have a way to just kind of consolidate all the social stuff. You had to choose to use them instead. But it was also good for reputation management. If you need another site to use for reputation management, they do have a pretty good page rank and rank pretty highly, even though they're just moving over into the Western mainstream now. So if you need that or want to know more about that, contact me. I have their card here somewhere. Can't remember their name off the top of my head. So I think that's good enough for now, for half drunk and half hungover, half cold live report from Vegas. So good luck in the SERPs, and we'll be talking to you next week on video again. If you have any questions for me, you can contact me, joshbachynski@gmail.com. But I won't be back in my office. I'll be in Vegas for the next couple of weeks, so we'll have to talk then. So good luck in the SERPs, and we'll talk to you next week. Bye.